There we go. That way there'll be a recording for everyone, anyone who misses it. I'll send that link to Elsa. So if you know of any other parents who couldn't make it today, or any of your colleagues, there'll be a recording for.
Oh, it's kind of cut off because kind of cut off and then like a.
I know that's not good.
Good morning, John. I see you there. Nora, Rochelle, of course, Elsa, Mariana. Welcome, welcome, everyone.
How about now?
Hello?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I got a microphone. Good morning, everyone. I'm sorry about the technical difficulties. I'm not sure what was going on. I had to get a microphone. Now I feel like I'm on radio or something. So we're going to get started. Welcome, everyone. It's good to see everyone. Good morning to everyone who has been saying good morning on the chat. I've tried to send everyone a link. If you didn't get it, please send me your email through the chat and I'll update that, because it's probably, if it was an old TOCC email, I was probably sending it to all of you. But thank you so much for everyone who has responded. So I know it's already been 5 minutes afterwards, so let's get started. Thank you, Enrique, for being here again. I'm looking forward to this presentation. It's one of my favorite ones. I've tried a lot of these techniques in the classrooms, and I'll just say they work and they're a lot of fun. So take it away.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, these do work. And I have used these techniques all over the world, literally all over this country, and about 40 of the states in the US, and all over Mexico, and also in Canada. And nowadays, virtually, I've used them with children in India, in Australia, New Zealand. Long list. It goes on and on and on.
How do you do?
Yeah. And so let me see. Let me share my screen. And if you're not muted, I'll help some of you. I'm going to go ahead and mute some of you. There we go. So I'm not muting you to be mean. And if you have any questions, you can always unmute yourself. And I'll leave time at the end for questions, but you don't have to wait till the end to ask a question. So this is more like a conversation today. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. And earlier I had some music on. So the first screen was, let me go back here and show you the first screen. Not that you missed anything. So it's all about family engagement, right? And in the background, I was playing a waltz by Johann Strauss, which reminds me of my childhood, because it reminds me of old cartoons that I used to wake up to on Saturday mornings, with specifically Bugs Bunny. And so it's one of the things my mom and my nana would watch with me. So it's all about helping our young ones, right? And helping them be not just ready for school, but for learning. And I assume that you're going to agree with me on this. I don't know for sure, of course, so I shouldn't assume. But play is the way, and play is fun, and fun is not fluff. I'm going to say that again. Fun is not fluff. Fun is where it's at. Some of the greatest organizations in the country today, I like adults, you know, like corporations, they use play throughout their day. One organization you probably have heard about is Google. So at google.com, not .com, but at Google, their offices, right? They have slides and they have those little forts we all used to play in, made out of plastic. They have those kinds of things, and they have old time phone booths throughout their place too. And they have, funny looking drinking fountains that look like a big old fish. They play. And the reason they do that, and they're very successful, right, is because they understand and remember that play is not just for children. That play is for all learners of all ages, right? So whether it's a big old bubble, I mean, look at that. And I've been in situations with those big bubbles. You probably have too. My question for all of you is, do you just kind of watch it, notice it as a cool thing, or do you engage in that playful moment with a playful question? So my first tip, you're going to leave today with lots of strategies. My first strategy, my first tip is, what questions do you ask when they're playing? Do you ask questions when they're playing? And I understand sometimes they're having such fun playing, and we're so happy they're playing, we sort of leave it alone. We're like, oh my gosh, a moment for a break, a moment for us as an adult to have a break, and we can do that too. But if there was a young child playing with a, not a balloon, but a bubble like this, I might ask a question like, wow, what shape is it? Or how did you make that? Or how many colors can you see in the bubble? And why does it float? Now, I wouldn't ask all those questions back to back. I think that's obvious, but I want to make sure that's real obvious. But I would ask questions, because questions that we ask with a fun inflection, right? Where we're being playful with them. Hey, how'd that happen? Those kinds of questions, children love to engage. Even if they don't respond, they're thinking about it. So if you've ever asked a question of a young child like that, and they don't say anything, but they look at you and they look back at their big bubble, mission accomplished. Don't feel like, oh, they didn't say anything. Well, has anyone ever asked you a question and you maybe not said anything and just kind of sat there thinking about it? Sure, all the time. That's part of how we operate. And then you have, of course, blocks. And I mean, I could have put a million pictures in this image. There are so many ways to play, but it's mostly the attitude of play. More than what game we're playing with our young children, it's mostly about, do we engage in playful ways with our children, or do we only stay serious like adults get a lot of the time? So anyway, we're going to play pretty much, that's what we're doing today. I hope you're ready. So this is a play date. We have a play date together. Here we are together. So I have a story that I don't think anyone here has heard, even including Ed, I don't think. So that little baseball player with the yellow DC cap, that's me. That's me when I was a little guy. I was in about, I think, 4th grade. Yeah, I was in 4th grade. And we lived in San Diego, California at the time as a kid. And so I wanted to play. And specifically, I played mostly music. I played piano, but that was something I played. It wasn't a team sport, right? It's not even a sport. I would just play piano. My teacher would come every week and I would play. I loved it. I played accordion. I played violin. I played trumpet. And I loved it. Now, the trumpet, I got to play in a band with other people, but a lot of my friends were playing baseball. And I wanted to play baseball. Now, keep in mind that my dad was not athletic at all. And he was a good dad, but we never threw the ball around, ever, not once. Because the ball would like hit him, like he couldn't catch the ball. He was a designer. He was a interior decorator. And so I grew up with no sports really around in my immediate family. Boy, did I want to play. So I picked up the bat. I went to practice. I got on the little league team in 4th grade. Most of my teammates had been playing for years. They'd been playing since they were 4 or 5 years old. I had never played. God, but my mom and dad bought me a baseball glove. I was so excited. I showed up in the first practice. They start throwing grounders to you and they start popping the ball up in the air so you can catch it. And I couldn't, the ball was hitting me in the face and the chin, and my shoulder, I was a mess, right? And then they said, well, maybe this kid can hit. He was pretty big. And so I went up to the plate and I didn't even foul the ball off. I didn't even touch the ball with the bat. And so I was one of those kids that got to play 2 innings a game because that's the minimum they have to play you. and I got put out in right field. And I wasn't sad about it. I was with my friends and I was playing baseball. So I didn't see it as a bad thing, perspective, right? So when we play, I want you to think of perspective when you play with children and or other adults. So I was playing and I was happy. I didn't take on the adult perspective of, oh, I'm not playing the most. Yeah, I'm not playing the most. Let me see. There we go. There we go. Okay, cool. So yeah, so I kept playing, you know, and that season, here's what happened. I went to bat the first time, my first at bat ever. I never hit anything in practice. And I closed my eyes, and I'll be honest, I remember being really nervous. I would say probably scared even, because the baseball appeared to be coming pretty fast at me. So what did I do? I closed my eyes and I swung the bat. And I heard this sound I never heard before. Whack! And all I could hear was in the background, a lot of yelling. And it was everyone in the stands, including my parents, saying, run, run. I had never hit the ball before. I didn't realize you had to run. I mean, I did, but I hesitated. So I started running, and I wasn't that fast. And really today, I mean, I'm much more athletic today. I worked at it, but I'm not a speedster. You would not want to put me on the Olympic team for, you know, sprints and whatnot. So I make it all the way to third base. I hit a triple. And the coaches are all thinking, wow, maybe this kid's a natural. And all my friends are thinking, wow, maybe this kid's a natural. And I thought, wow, I must be a natural, because I heard him use that word, right? That was the last hit I got all season. That was the first and last hit I got all season. And I had a good time. You know, we had pizza after the games, and I was with my friends. Perspective. All right. So what is play? So the next season, I decided I wanted to play again. Why? Because I wanted to play, and I wanted to be with my friends. So I was so happy. I got picked. They picked players, right? I got picked for the best team in the league. Now, later on, I realized why. Because they had the last pick, right? That's why. So I was on a team with the best record. Their colors were red and white, right? And so they knew that their coach was pretty good. He helped me out, but he knew what I could or could not do, and so did I. I knew that I wasn't going to hit the ball very much, and I had a tough time catching the ball. So he put me in right field. I played 2 innings a game. That year, I led the league in getting on base. I got on base more often than any other player in the league. And my batting average was 0.00. I got on base more than anyone else with never getting a hit. I never got a hit. I was trying to find a way to help my team. Perspective. How'd I do it? I would get as close to the plate as I could. And I got beamed something like 12 times, and I walked like 14 times. I mean, I got on base all the time. So, and you know, one time I got hit in the head, I had a helmet on. And so that was my experience. I had a great time playing, you know. It was a little scary sometimes. Yeah, that part was, but I always enjoyed going. Yeah, and welcome to all parents. Yeah, any parents who are here, I'm so excited that we have a great mix of people here today. So I share this story because I think we sometimes forget the connection between play and learning, especially when it comes to youth sports. It becomes so competitive, and there's nothing wrong with competition, but it becomes so competitive, we forget why it's there, right? Whatever the experience is, whether it's sports or music, it's there to help our children learn. We play to learn. We play to learn, and we can also learn to play. And as adults, we need to remember again what it is to play. And play with. It's like when we read. Today I'm going to read some music, stories to you and show you another technique. I'm not going to read at you. I'm going to read with you. We need to be active in our play with children, right? It's fun, and we can generally burn some calories doing so. So that's my baseball career story for all of you. You probably didn't know I had a career in baseball. So that was it. Yeah, Elsa had no idea. So as we dive in today's session even more, I want to just go back to the brain thing. Now, some of you have seen some of the brain games. I'm assuming that some people here have not. since we have, I believe, some parents. So we're going to, in a moment, we're going to play some brain games. So we have one strategy of asking questions, right, when we play. The concept of playing as an attitude, of having a playful attitude. And now we're talking about resilient brains. There are things you can do. There are things we need to do to help our children develop a brain that is resilient. What does that mean? A brain that can make quick decisions, a brain that can deal with adversity, a brain that understands that this part of the brain and the right side of the brain, right, and the prefrontal cortex, that these parts of the brain can tell the part of the brain that gets scared or angry or really mad or whatever it is, it can tell that part of the brain to relax. And I'm using layman's terms here. I'm not going to use research or neuroscience terms today, really. I might use a couple. All right. So a brain that is fully developed deals a lot better with conflict. It deals a lot better with emotional stress, any kind of stress. The better the brain, the more resilient the brain, the quicker that person learns and remembers information from one part of their life and uses it later in their life. So we all want the best for our children. So take a look at the brain games, I'm putting that in quotations, that you're looking at. You have the cube, right? That's something we've all seen before. Some people have difficulty with it. That's pretty difficult for me, I'll be honest. I'm really good with a lot of brain games. That particular one is not my expertise. On the bottom left, you have a violin. You might be thinking, that's not a brain game, that's a violin. It's a brain game, right? Because with a brain game, you want to cross the midline, right? So if you're doing this, all right, or old school patty cake, that's great for the brain because you're crossing the middle right brain connection. Now I'm going to make sure we're So when you play any musical instrument, especially violin or piano or guitar, there's a crossing of the midline when you bow. Then there's the music, the frequency, right? That's really great for the brain too. Chess, I love chess. That's a great brain game. Now the brain game of chess, why? Because you have to think ahead. You have to visualize, if I go here, then that person might go here. And then I would go over here. So you're visualizing. So chess is a great brain game. So is a Rubik's Cube, right? But neither of them have music involved. Keep that in mind, all right? As great a brain game as chess is or the cube, neither have music or frequency involved, and neither really have crossing the midline. Top right-hand corner, those are 3 young children, and those are 4.5, 5-year-olds, and they're playing the brain games that some of you know about, that we're about to play again right now, right? So those brain games, what we're about to do, IBG brain games, and brain games like them, they have the movement, they have the midline, they have the frequency, the music, they have all of it. It's the complete package. So what you're about to play with me, what you're about to do, is you're about to experience playing brain games that bring all the different areas of the brain together, all right, in the simplest way of describing it. So I'm going to change the screen, then I'm going to stop. I might, let's see, I think I'm going to, let me see, where am I? Oh, there it is. Okay, so I'm going to change the screen, then I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a moment so I can see some of you. So if you wouldn't mind, if you could turn your video on. If you're on a phone call, that's okay, then you can't do that. But if you have video, that'd be great. So here comes some music, and what you need to do is just do what you see me doing. Okay, put the view on here, gallery. I see some faces. Hello, everyone. Hello. Oh, great to see so many faces. Welcome. I feel like I'm not alone anymore. Here we go. Let's start as if we're playing brain games with young children. Show me a letter X. So do what I'm doing here, letter X, and switch. And we're in time with the music. Or like this. Either way is in time with the music. And you're all doing great, and they will too. This is a pretty easy one. Okay. Let's go shoulder. Shoulder. Tap. Other side. Other side. Back and forth. Now, some children will do this instead, right? You've seen it. And that's okay. And then I say to them, hey, if these were rabbits, could they hop across? Could they hop across? And some will do this and go back. And that's okay, they'll get it. But we want this. We want this. Let's do another pretty easy one. How about head and elbow? Find your elbow, your head, and can you switch? Whoa. For some children, this is easy. For others, it's more difficult. I'll talk about that in a moment. Yeah. Okay. And then another, we did X, we did shoulders and head and elbow. How about shoulder and elbow? Shoulder and elbow. And switch. Switch. And switch. And switch. How about the ear and elbow? Ear and elbow. 2, ready, and switch. A little tricky, right? So you can go slow, and then eventually you can go a little faster. How about back of the neck and the nose? Back of the neck and nose. Ready, and switch. And switch. And switch. And switch. To make now a harder one for them is back of the neck and not the nose, but the ear. Not this ear, but this ear. Yeah. And switch. That one's kind of tricky, even for adults. So let me show you what that feels like for the child, right? Because it's sometimes we don't realize even something simple like this. That's so easy to us. A lot of children do this. Why? Because crossing the midline is harder. So let me show you what this one feels like to a child who is struggling. And let me show you why we don't take their hands and go, okay, get it? No, we have to be patient and let them figure it out, all right? So let me take you through an adult one. Finger and a thumb, right? Finger and a thumb. So my finger's not here, it's right here, and the thumb's not down, the thumb is in, right? 1, 2, ready, and switch. Switch. How you doing? Switch. It looks easy, but it's not as easy, right? And imagine doing that. Imagine, so that's what it feels like to a child to do this instead of this, right? Here's another one I want you to realize what this feels like for them. Show me a hand up and down. And other hand, a circle. And now make the hand that's going up and down a vertical line, but that's going diagonal across the midline. And the circle's still going. And switch. Other hand is now the diagonal, and the other hand is a circle. Craziness, right? Here's another one I want to show you. Well, I'll show you another one later. My point is, even though things look easy, they may not be so. It depends. Now, for some children, they can do this easily. And there would be many reasons. Nutrition could be one reason. They might have really good nutrition. Another reason might be they might already be around music, so they might have really good coordination. But what's really awesome is any child can learn these. Any child, even this one. I've seen 5-year-olds do this better than adults. So even though I call that one an adult one, it's just a big spectrum. It's just, it's scaffolded. So I'm going to share my screen again. I wanted to describe one more thing. So check it out. So with this one, why is that one hard, right? And why? And I saw a lot of you laugh. I saw a lot of you tried that. And you're like kind of, whoa! It's like, whoa! It was surprising, that kind of thing. And there's a neurological reason. It's really interesting. So picture a young child about to take their first step, a toddler, a tiny one. Okay, you all have that image in your head. and they're about to take that first step, and they're kind of wobbling around, you know, that look, and they're excited, but they're maybe a little scared, and there's some family there going, come on, you know, they're cheering them on. And they take that first step, and it's almost always accompanied by this kind of expression. It could be scared, happy, excited, a lot of emotions, right? The reason neurologically is it is a new message from the brain to the legs. That's something they haven't done a lot or ever. For most adults, this is a new message, which is why when I do this all over the world, that I see people react much like a child. They're like, what? Kind of excited, kind of confused. New messages are really important. The more new messages we have in our life, the younger we stay of mind. The moment we push away new messages, new experiences, that's the moment we choose to age, to get older of mind, older of brain, older neurologically. That no one wants that. I don't know anyone who would say, yes, please sign me up for an older brain. No one says that. Everyone's like, no, I want the younger brain. I want to be able to think really clearly and have a lot of energy for the rest of my life. So that's what this is about. This is about creating that kind of brain. We call it building the muscle of the brain. So let me share my screen again. And there I go. Put that over there. Oh. So IBG are what these are called. That stands for intellectual brainwave gains. And even without the resource online, you can figure this out. Basically, let's all find our shoulder. And then the other hand, pick any other body part. You could pick chin, cheek, ear, head, nose, eyebrow, other shoulder, forearm, elbow, bicep, any other part of the body, right? And then you switch, and then you switch. So you could literally, I do this with children. When I play these with children, I'm not always the leader. I want the children to learn how to lead. So I will ask the children, what body part should we start with? Where can we put this hand? And they might say chest, neck. Okay, great, neck. And what about this hand? Head. Okay, and switch. Switch, all right? So it's that simple. You can create these on your own as well. All right, so let me show you a little more info while I sip my water. So I'm reading the chat box here. Oh, darn it. I see that Tisha and Esther are listening and watching from the same computer, having difficulty with their own computers. Darn, I'm sorry to hear that. I hope you can watch it. Worst case scenario, I will send the link out of the recording. Okay, and then you can watch it again. So if that's one of you out there, I will make sure you get the recording. These 4 things you see here, focus, and I don't usually read the words on the screen, but with keeping in mind some of you might not be able to see it, I'm going to do that today. So focus, mental clarity, reduce stress, and academic performance. These are 4 things that these brain games impact. If you play them daily, not if you play them once and then never again, right? It's not a magic pill, there's no such thing. I'm talking about 5 days a week, if not more. And I'm not talking hours and hours a day. I'm talking minutes here, minutes there, 2 minutes here, 3 minutes there. So the more consistent you are with it, you'll see improvement in these areas. These are research-based. We've done a lot of research, evidence-based and research-based, and it's published now, actually. It's published research. So we know it works. Like Elsa said, more important than the research, we've seen it work with our own eyes. These 8 things I kind of referenced earlier. There are 8 really big variables that our brain loves. Think of these 8 things that I'll list in a moment as superfood for the brain, right? So like our bodies like to eat really healthy things, our brain wants healthy things, right? So one of them is crossing the midline, or midline crossing, which I mentioned before. So when we play these brain games, notice the easier ones like a head and nose. Head and nose, we're not really crossing the midline. Is it a brain game? Yes, it is. It's an easy one, a very easy one. So sometimes I start there with a young child who's struggling. and then head and ear. Uh-oh, now I'm crossing the midline. This is a little more difficult, right? And then you have that finger thumb thing. If I cross my arms, oh my gosh, that it gets very difficult, right? So crossing the midline, whether it's that or playing violin or playing piano, right, is very, very important. Rhythmic consonance, what is that? That's being in time with the music. So is dancing a good brain game? Yes, it is. It's fantastic for the brain. You should dance every day with your children for whatever reason, find a way, all right? And you can also play, patty cake, that's an old school brain game. And the brain games we just played, that's why the music is there. That kind of thing. The music I had in the background. Frequency produced by music, right? Specifically higher frequencies, not lower. The brain really, really is attracted to high frequencies. Tempo, how fast, how slow. Now, the good thing with these 4 things, they're embedded in the brain games I created. So they're already there. You don't have to worry about the tempo or which megahertz or on the frequency. And then the next 4, repetition, obviously practicing, repeating. Our brains like to do that. Novelty, our brains love new things. Our brains get very curious about new things. And the more of these 8 things that we have, the more our brain produces gray matter. And the more gray matter we have inside our brains, the more connections we have. The more connections, I mean like neurons. The more neurons we have, the more connections, the more patterns we can create. What does that mean? It means things like a person with a better brain has typically a much bigger vocabulary. A person with a bigger vocabulary knows how to express themselves. A person who knows how to express themselves with words has a much lower chance of expressing themselves with violence. You see where I'm headed? So how important is it to have a really resilient brain? It's really important. And that was just one of millions of examples I can make. And then focus of attention and then emotional excitement. These 8 things are what the brain loves. And all 8 things, all these things exist at the same time with the brain games that I created. So whatever it is you're going to do to play with children, think of these things, right? And again, you'll have access to the recording. So let's play some more. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to, I'll just go to, one moment. There we go. I'm going to stop sharing for a moment. Okay, so if you can come back on screen, we're going to play a little more. I'm going to now challenge you, okay? Parents, teachers, fabulous human beings you are. I'm going to challenge you. No worries, I gotcha. All right, hand here. And I'd love to see your faces, but I won't force you. Squares. Going in first. Square. Easy, right? I sure hope so. If this is not easy, go see your doctor, please. Now overlap the squares. So this is one children can do so far. Pretty easy. Now, hands a little closer and 2 triangles going out. So triangle. And in time with the music. Up, 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 up. Okay, super. Now, let's put squares and triangles together at the same time. Oh my goodness. Hand here, square going in, hand here going out, triangle. So the square is going to go in and out. And ready and go. Square on one side. You can go slower if you need to, but you cannot give up. This is not an option. Even if you're like all over the map, confused, it's okay. Your brain's loving it. Your pride might not like it too much. But your brain's going, this is fun. Emotionally, you might be going, this is awful. I can't get it. But your brain loves being confused. I'll explain what I mean in a moment. Whoa, shake it out. Okay, that's interesting, right? So now let's do another one. Let's do another. Let's do a hand here and down and up. And this hand, the circle. Now the circle is going to go out. Let's just do the circle part. Make the circle small when it gets far away, and then when it gets closer to you, it gets bigger. So it's a spiral, right? So it's big here, and then it's small here. So you're going to keep going, keep doing that, and put a vertical hand at the same time. Oh yeah. Woo! And switch. What? Oh my gosh. You might be flailing all over the place, hitting the side of your head. It's okay. Keep going. It doesn't have to be perfect. Shake it out, shake it out. Let's go 3D. We've been doing 2-dimensional. Let's do 3-dimensional. How do we do that? Let me show you. Down and up. Down and up with one hand. And the other hand is going to go out, away from you and in. And try and not have it turn into this. Try and avoid this. Okay? I don't want to see any T-Rex arms. No T-Rex arms. So big long lines. Big no T-Rexes. You are human beings. You are not T-Rexes. I see you. And ready, and set, and switch. Now, if you want to make it harder, make the up and down hand a diagonal. Oh, yes. So one is going straight down, and the other one is a diagonal. Oh, shake it out. Give yourself a kiss to your brain. Kiss that brain. Say good job to yourself. And I want to thank 2 musicians who were you were hearing them play. That was Viviana Cumplido, who is the principal flautist for the Phoenix Symphony Orchestra. And the pianist was none other than my wife, Marie Sierra. So Marie is a really outstanding pianist. She performs with a lot of folks here in Tucson mostly, and sometimes she does some traveling and touring. So let me go ahead and well, before I go back to my screen. So one of the points here is empathy, right? One of the points here is empathy to remind us how these feel, right? It's important to remember that not all children are going to be able to immediately do every brain game. Just like as adults, I don't expect you to be able to do every brain game I can do. Why? Because they're not new for me anymore. I have to do other things that are new for me, right? So I want you just to remember that. And also, children aren't the only ones who should be playing these brain games. As adults, we need to play, not just with children, but we need to play for ourselves, for our own learning. I play all the time. Now you might say to me, well, Enrique, we're really busy. I get it. I'm not talking about stopping your day to play. I'm talking about playing. How you doing? Good. It's okay, I got you on the mute here, no worries. I love all those sounds with children. It's all great. Let me go back to my screen, sharing. Okay. So, take a good look at these children here. They're pretty, they look like they're having a good time, right? I see curiosity. If I were to ask you, what do you see? You might say, I see focus, I see a smile. I see attention. Whoa. It's amazing what we can get done with play. So before we move on away from the brain games, again, I just want to make sure everyone knows these are brain games or something like them. You should be playing something like this on a daily basis, right? And even at home, it's great fun. I sometimes see my son. I'm going to see my son today. He's 22. And I'll sometimes say, hey, Nick. And he's like, oh yeah, I got you, Dad. And he's pretty good at that now because he's been around me all his life, right? So then I'll show him a harder one, right? So it's fun to challenge ourselves and challenge our friends, right? So yeah, a lot of fun. And by the way, I forgot to mention up front, I just want to tip my hat to everyone here. And whether you're a teacher, a parent, or both, right? I just want to say how much your work matters, how much your efforts matter with your own children and other children. And thank you for being here. And thank you for being a leading light in our world, making the world a better place. So we have brain, then we have breath. You get your brain going and you help children and ourselves breathe more deeply, really deeply. Good things happen up here. So the first thing I'd like you to do is take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Ready, set, in through your nose, out your mouth. That's called water breathing, by the way, right? So it's about getting in the flow. It's very relaxing. Let's do it again. And this time on the breath out, I'd like you to really let whatever sound comes out of your body come out. Like for example, when I do this, it sounds like this. Whatever sound, your sound might be different. Ready, set, into your nose. 3 more. Really fill up this time. Expand your rib cage, everything. Ready, breathe in. And don't hesitate at the top of the breath. Don't hold the breath. Ready, set, go. Now, I want you to breathe in and out through your nose. This is called fire breathing or energy breathing. And it actually creates and stimulates more energy for yourself. Ready, set, go. In through your nose. And out through your nose. In through your nose. Again. One more time. Next time you watch the Olympics, or we don't know if the Olympics are going to happen this year, right? We don't know. But watch a video from older Olympics. Watch how the runners are breathing. Specifically the sprinters and the gymnasts as well. Watch how they breathe, right? None of them are doing this. And none of them are breathing just a little bit. There's no bird breathing going on. They are breathing into their nose, filling up, and letting it out. And there's a reason why they're doing that, right? Every once in a while, if you watch carefully, you'll see in and out through the nose. It's really fascinating. So let's do some more here. So I'm going to start with some breathing. So take a look at this image first, right? And I'm going to take you through an adult experience to help you with your stress level. I'm going to show you how to breathe to lower your stress. I'm going to show you how to breathe to find more inner peace, right? So we want high energy for ourselves and children. Children bring plenty of energy, right? We don't want to turn it off. We just want to show them how to redirect it, how to use it differently. We do this by teaching them and ourselves how to lower our heart rate. When we have high energy and a lower heart rate, great things happen, including our ability to learn and remember. So in just a moment, we're going to breathe in for 2 and out for 4, and then breathe out for 6, or breathe in for 3, out for 6, and then breathe in through 4 and out for 8. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here so I can see you better. So go ahead and come on screen with your video if you can. Yeah. All right. Super. So here we go. We're going to breathe in through our nose for 2, out our mouth for 4. When you breathe in, fill up as much as you can in 2 seconds, right? You're going to fill up in 2, and then for 4, you're going to get it all out. Not just a little bit, all of it out. When we get to 3, we're going to still expand in 3. And then when we get to 4, we're going to expand completely. So in 2 counts, you really got to breathe. You got to get a lot of air in pretty quickly. So here we go. 2, ready, and breathe in for 2. 4. 2. In for 3. 6. Now, breathing in for 3, before we go on, breathing in for 3, we might fill up too quickly, and this might happen. Right, we don't want that to happen. So pace yourself, right? When we breathe out for 6, I sometimes run out of air doing that. So when I go 3, 6, and 4, 8, this is what I do and what I'd like you to try. Letter S. And near the end, if I need to, I go back to the sh, which more air comes out, obviously, right? So on the exhalation on 6, start letter S, and then go to the sh if you need it. So here we go, in for 3. 1, 2, ready, and in for 3. 6, 3, 4, 8, 4, 'Okay. Now we can do that for a long week. I do workshops that are entirely just about breathing sometimes. How long would you do this? It's up to you, and it depends on your level of stress. So if your stress level is high, I would do this when you wake up. I would do this before a meal to lower your body rhythm so you can absorb food and digest better. I would do this at night before going to sleep. And there's so many ways to breathe, right? So this is just one way. This is just one way, but this will definitely help lower the heart rate. Let me go ahead and change the screen so I can get the music to stop. So before I share my screen again, I want to just share a brief story with you. Stories really help us understand each other, because our stories typically are how we lead. Our stories impact how we lead, and our stories are very much connected to who we are. And when we share our stories and when we have our own story witnessed, magical things happen, both with adults and young people that I work with. I work a lot with at-risk youth, with another Native organization called NCJTC, the National Criminal Justice Training Center, for people with trauma. They work with all the different grantees in the U.S. Under that organization. And so part of that work, I actually work with a lot of youth and with their guides, their elders. And I love doing it. So I wanted to share a little bit of that with you. So how real, like, can we really lower our heart rate? Like, by how much? You might be thinking, how much? Like, it's a little, is this real? Is it a big deal? Does it work? What does it do? So I was in a hospital years ago, and they had me hooked up to a machine, and I was bored. And they were just checking for stuff. I was fine, but I could see my heart rate, and my heart rate at the time was a lot higher than it used to be. My heart rate back then was around 78. Today it's usually around 60, but it was at 78, 74, and I was really bored. And in that moment, I remembered a movie, a James Bond movie, where James Bond was breathing, trying to slow down his breath because he was in a hospital and he was kind of trapped. And the only way that he could get out was if someone came into the room. And the only reason a nurse would come into the room was if his heart rate went really low and he started, was about to die or something. So he had to find a way to fake them out. He had to find a way to make them think he was about to die. So here's what James Bond did in the movie. Ready? You watching me? Here's what he did. He did what we just did, but for a long time. And he brought his heart rate down, like from, 70 something, 60 something, all the way down to 33. And in the movie, the machine goes off, beep, and the nurse runs in, and James Bond escapes, right? Ends up eating lobster and caviar and drinking champagne. 30 minutes later, after swimming across the China Sea. I don't know how that worked. So I thought I'd like to do that part. I mean, I would like to eat lobster. I wonder if I can get the heart machine, the machine that's showing my pulse. I wonder if I can get it to so low that a nurse comes in and has to tell me something. So here's what I started doing. I went 2-4. Now 2-4 will only lower your heart rate a little bit. 1 or 2 beats a minute, very little. If your heart rate's 80, it might come down to 79, 78. So then I went to 3-6. Came down a little more. I went to 4-8. Now at 4-8, my heart rate dropped, and this is typically what happens. It'll drop between 8 to 10 beats per minute, which is significant. That is significant, right? That'll help you. That'll help you live longer. It'll help with stress. If that's all you do, get to 4-8, good for you. But I was in the hospital and I wanted to hear the little machine go off, and not dead, but I wanted to hear the nurse walk in and say, "Are you okay?" or something. I wanted to see if I could do what James Bond had done. So I went to 5-10. Here's what 5-10 looks like. You get the idea. It's a long breath. I went all the way. You ready? I went all the way to in for 10, out for 20. Whoa, that is a slow breath. I breathed in for 10 seconds, really slow. It was like I wasn't doing anything. I just looked like I was standing there or sitting there, and out for 20. My heart rate, I didn't get it down to 33, but I got my heart rate down to 48. That is slow. The nurse walked in. Yes, she did. And she looked at me and said, "Mr. Feldman, if you could please maybe take some deep breaths, that'd be great." I said, and I stayed really calm. I was so excited, but I didn't want to go back up quickly. I said, "Sure." So within 20 seconds, it was back to normal. That's how quickly we can impact our heart rate. And when you bring your heart rate down, you're able to think more clearly. And stress levels go way down. So I see Essa put something really cool in the chat box, that she has done this in the classroom before nap time. Oh yeah, Essa, would you like to talk about that? How'd that work out?
It was usually with we used to use the Tree in the Wind, and I can't remember what piece of music it was, but yeah, I used to breathe with the children. It was 3 and 4-year-olds. And so it was hard for them at first to kind of get into the rhythm, into the counting of breathing. But the older kids would demonstrate, they would be able to do it better. And parents started to mention, "Hey, I tried that, what you're doing in the classroom with the kids," because some parents would come and pick up the kids during that time, and they would see that and they would try it, and they're like, "Wow, I've never been able to get them to fall asleep, and this helped." And yeah, they listen to different kind of classical music. They started to learn about different music that would calm them or soothe them. But yeah, that definitely calmed children, and I tried it in different classrooms. And I always found that this was something good. And no, I never went beyond the I only went with the children 2, 4, 3, 6, maybe with the older 4, 5-year-olds, but never went to 4-8 with them.
That's okay. That's typical. 4-8 would be really slow for a child. Now I have seen some do it.
Yeah.
But that's a good point. You don't even have to get to 4-8 for this to work, right? What I do want to show you, and thanks for sharing this, that was great. Let's see here. What I do want to share with you now, basically is people ask me, "So how do you do this with children?" One way, Elsa just explained, is you simply say, "Hey, let's breathe together." You don't have to make it a game, but there are ways to introduce them to these kinds of breathing. And this is the way in which I've gotten them to do 4-8. So let me just take you through this, all right? So Tree in the Wind, Spider-Man, and the Circle of Life. So I'm going to unshare my screen right now, again, because it's fun to see us a little bigger. Okay, so if you want to come on screen, we're going to play together. So come on screen again. The more the merrier, and I really appreciate it. Excellent, excellent. Yeah, even if it's just a static photo, that's fine. Wow, 41 people. How incredible to have so many of you here together. Okay, super. So Tree in the Wind. How do I play this game? Right? So when I play this game with children, I typically put some classical music in the background. I'm not going to do that now so you can hear me a little better, but something soothing. Okay, so some Mozart, some Bach. You know, there are a lot of CDs out there with this music on it. It used to be harder to find. It's so easy to find now. You know, on your phone, you can just do a Google search for Mozart. Bam, it's on your phone. You know, you don't even need CD players anymore, right? So what I tell children, I'll say, hey, what would a tree look like if your body became the tree? And I'm playful with it, right? I don't say become a tree. That would be awful, right? That would not be fun. So when I say a word, I want all of you, and I'll do it with you. When I say the word, I want you all to show me that word, but with your body. I want you to become the shape of that word with your body. Ready, set, tree. Or it might be, I've seen kids who go, I'm a cactus, I'm a saguaro, great, whatever. Yeah, that's fine too. So you're a tree. And then show me your branches. So my arms are my branches, right? My arms. And show me your leaves. And typically it doesn't have to be, but typically they show the leaves, my fingers. Okay. Okay. And I see some of your leaves are moving. What's making your leaves move? And usually they say the wind. They might say something. Else, but typically they say the wind. Okay, let's make the sound of the wind. First here, then here. Ready, set, go. Familiar, right? Right. It's 2/4, roughly. Let's do it again. Now, if I don't change anything, that will become very boring very quickly. So we have to change things up. We have to ask questions. I might say, what do trees need to grow? And some say dirt, some say sun. City kids are hilarious. City kids say all sorts of things that make no sense sometimes about how trees need to grow. It's pretty funny. Right? So eventually someone says water. And then I might ask, where's water come from? And again, inner city kids crack me up. They're great. They're like, Bashes. Okay, yes, the store has water, but where else does water come from? So kids who live out in the country, they know. They go, rain, right, or clouds. So let's make it rain now. Let's make it rain on our tree, right? So we can grow and become strong. First here, then here. Ready, set, go. Once I had a kid say, that's not the sound of the rain, Enrique. That's the sound of the wind. I'm so sorry. What is the sound of the rain? So he went. I said, great. That's the sound for you. Great. It might take longer for the air to get out, but that's okay. So let's make it rain again. Here we go. How about letter S? And the wind. So now we have wind and rain. If I only do that, that might get boring. So then I'll say, are there any animals in your tree? And some say yes. And we talk about what kind. Squirrels and birds. Oh my gosh. And is the squirrel running up or down? Is it running inside or behind? How many birds are in? What color are the birds in your tree? Right? Oh my gosh, it's raining on the animals again. Here we go. So the longest I've played this game with children without stopping is right around, believe it or not, it's a long time, 15, 16 minutes. I mean, that's a long time in the world of young children being focused, but it's possible when it's with play. The shortest this has gone, maybe a minute, right? They're done. That's fine. That's fine. So Tree in the Wind is the basic way to play this game, right? And you're shooting for in for 2, out for 4. Then maybe 3-6. And you might eventually dabble with 4-8. You don't have to, you might get there. Let's see, John said something here in the chat room. I use that to explain rain cycle. Love it. That's great, John. Yeah, cycles are where it's cool things. Cycle of rain, cycle of life, all sorts of things. While I was playing this game once, imagine, here's a story, right? And this is a story and an explanation of another way to play it. So it's a strategy and a story. So I'm playing this game, and I was in inner city Watts, Los Angeles, in LA. And I was with 60, count them, all in one space. They brought like a bunch of classrooms together. There were 60 children, 4 and 5-year-olds with me. And this little preschool, I hope it exists now. It was the was Charles R. Drew Head Start. It was part of the Charles R. Drew hospital. But that Head Start program no longer exists, unfortunately. And this school was right next to a freeway. You couldn't see it, but you could hear it. So we were outside with 60 children with LA traffic freeway sounds going on. Not calming. Also exhaust, not good health breathing. It was the least desirable, scenario ever. But there were all these children there to play with me. So we're playing Tree in the Wind. And they're having a good time. And this one little kid got close to me and said, "I don't like trees." And he seemed a little bothered, but he wasn't angry. And I looked at him and said, "It's okay. You don't have to be a tree. You don't have to be a tree. You can just watch if you want." So we keep playing Tree in the Wind, Tree in the Wind. And he gets a little mad now, a little angry. And he gets closer to me. He says, "I don't want to be a tree. I don't like trees." And part of me thought it was cute, really cute, but I didn't laugh. I didn't laugh, but I thought, oh, how adorable. But he was being serious. He was obviously upset. So I took it seriously. I said, "You know what? You don't have to be a tree. You could be a forest ranger." Now, he probably didn't know what that was, so I described it. I said, "That's when you get in your truck and you drive through all the trees to make sure there's not a fire." So I thought, he's going to love that idea. Most kids, especially little boys, they like the idea of being in a truck, right? And he hated the idea. And he told me very loudly why. So he yelled, not like yelled at me, but he yelled in frustration. He said, "I hate trees." And he was shaking and almost crying. And the entire forest of tree children froze, right? They just stopped, because there we have a tree hater and there being trees. A potentially disastrous combination, right? So the teacher of this child was coming right to him to like remove him. And I said, wait. I said, "What do you want to be?" I asked him a question. "What do you want to be?" And this child said, "Spider-Man." This little kid wanted to be Spider-Man. And he said, "Spider-Man." I said, "Okay." And I had never done this new strategy before. Up until that point, the only way I had played that game was being a tree in the wind with rain. But this little boy led me to figuring out a new way. I said, "What does Spider-Man do?" And he did this with his hands. And he made this sound. I said, "What's that?" He said, "Spider web." First of all, he wasn't crying anymore. He wasn't screaming, and he wasn't mad. Why? Maybe it's because I paid attention and asked him an authentic question as to what he wanted to be. I was also open to the idea of doing things in more than one way, not just my way. So I said, "Okay, everyone, you can be a tree, or you can be a Spider-Man, or a spider person, or a spider woman, or a spider girl, or a spider kid." And they all chose. And so some were doing this, and others were doing this. You ready? Try this with me. So then we started making letters with our spider web. Let's do one right. Let's make the letter O. And then we kept making letters. And I said, my first letter is E for Enrique. And we made the letter E. Let's do that. But I realized some kids learn better with numbers. Letter E again, there are 4 lines. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Others learn better with words. How about long and short? Long, short, short, short. And then a little girl with beautiful curly hair walked right up to me and said, actually, she said nothing. She looked at me and did this. and made me ask. She made me ask. So precocious. She said, I said, do you want to make your letter? And she said, she just sat there. She said nothing. Didn't tell me what her name was. She made me ask. It was cute. I said, what's your name? Andrea. And do you know your first letter? What's your first letter? A. All right, let's all make letter A. Here we go. The big one. What do you think all the children wanted to do after that? Yep, I can see avoiding it. They all wanted to make their letter. That was the day we went 18 minutes or so in inner city Watts. And the teachers were like this. They later said, we didn't know they could focus for that long. I said, well, all you got to do is play for that long. All we have to do is find creative ways to play, and they can focus all day long. We're the ones who have to be creative enough, right? So that's Spider-Man. And the other story, and how this unfolded, was I was playing, this was in Akron, Ohio, at the Akron University Early Childhood Center. And they brought me in to work with their teachers and their faculty, and they brought in children one day. And it was great. It was ideal. It wasn't by a freeway. It was indoors. It wasn't 60 children. It was like 18. And they each had like parents with them. It was the perfect scenario, or so I thought. And so perfect scenario, we're playing the game Tree in the Wind. And I thought about Spider-Man, but I didn't go there. And before I could do that even, a little kid out of joy screamed, not bad, out of a joyful scream, he said, my tree got cut down, boom, and he goes down to the ground. Half the children go with him. I now have a forest with half dead trees and half living trees. And I see the teachers and there were a lot of students there. There were a lot of early childhood people who were university students who wanted to become teachers, right? So they were watching and they were kind of laughing a little bit. And I was laughing a little bit. I thought it was funny. And I could start to see a couple teachers come over to get the kids to go back up, or to get to have that kid come back up. But I did, no. I wanted to see. So yeah, children's input, exactly. So I asked for the input. Well, actually the child had given the input, right? By going down, my tree got cut down. So I looked around and I made a decision. I made a decision, ready? To play even more. So I said, my tree got cut down too. And I said it just like that. I said, my tree got cut down too. And I went down. So now most of the trees are now down. There were some trees that were still confused, but they eventually decided to die as well, metaphorically, of course. So we're all now dead trees. We're on the ground, right? And I see the group of students who were behind the glass window, so they don't want too many people in the room, but they could observe, and they were taking notes and stuff. And I could see them dying out of laughter. Everyone's dead. And later they told me, like, the game was over. We just thought it was so funny because the game was over. Like, what else can you do? You're all dead. You're all dead. Where do you go from death? So I'm down on my side. Everyone's on their side. And with my best dead tree voice, I asked the question, what do dead trees need to grow? And the same kid who had started this with his input responded in a similar creaky old voice, rain. So I did this on my side. I put one on, like a little T-Rex arm, went, and the kid went, and I saw someone else go, and little by little, we all started making the sound of tree and rain, and the forest came back to life. And we talked about the cycle of life, and the cycle of trees, and the cycle of water, and all those things. And my crowning moment, never mind any award I've gotten or whatever, I look back and I see all the students who were taking notes, who were laughing, not at me, but laughing with me, really. And they all look like this. And I said, so what do you think? They said, you came back from the dead. I thought that was so funny. But anyway, so we found a way, right? And so I now do both of those on purpose. On purpose, I will lead a group and say, my tree got cut down. Or I might say, why do trees fall down sometimes? Lightning, oh my gosh, let's do that. Boom, right? So without it becoming scary, right? Obviously, without it becoming violent. We don't want any of that. We don't need that, right? We weren't born from that, right? So Tree Got Cut Down, Spider-Man, and Tree in the Wind. And there are many other ways. Those are my top three. So now you have these strategies in addition to whatever you're using already to help them breathe or calm down. So now you have some more ways. You have some more ways. Additional ways, I should say. You have additional ways. So moving on, I'm going to read this to you. New strategy, ready? New strategy. I'm going to read this for you as I would read to older children or adults, and then I'll get back to early childhood. This is for you. Just enjoy, sit back and enjoy. Then I'll have questions for you. Do I dare disturb the universe? In a minute, there is time for revisions and decisions which a minute will reverse. For I have known them all already, known them all. I have known evenings, mornings, afternoons. I have measured out my life with coffee spoons. I know the voices die with a dying fall beneath the music from a farther room. So how should I presume? And I have known the eyes already, known them all. The eyes that fix you in a formulated phrase. And when I am formulated, sprawling on a pin, I am pinned and railing on the wall, then how should I begin to spit out all the butt ends of my days and ways? And how should I presume? I'm going to read the same words now, but with different music. Ready? So be thinking about what changes. The words don't change. Here I go. Do I dare disturb the universe? In a minute there is time for revisions and decisions which a minute will reverse. For I have known them all already, known them all. Have known the evenings, mornings, afternoons. I have measured out my life with coffee spoons. I know the voices dying with a dying fall beneath the music from a farther room. So how should I presume? And I have known the eyes already, known them all. The eyes that fix you in a formulated phrase. And when I am formulated, sprawling on a pin, when I am pinned and wriggling on the wall, then how should I begin to spit out all the buttons of my days and ways? And how should I presume? Okay, so this technique, this strategy, it's a literacy strategy. It's one that is used globally. So this is used in over, I think now over 15 countries. And I don't say that in a bragging way at all. I say that with so much excitement because I know what that means. It means that hundreds of thousands of children are now falling in love with reading again. They're falling in love with reading again. The main reason I surf the words, which is what we call this, and we call it surf the words because my voice is like the surfer, right? No matter where the water goes, I go with the water. So when the music gets loud, I get louder. When the music slows down or speeds up, I slow down or speed up with it. When the music becomes kind of angry, I change my inflection. When the music's happier, I change my inflection. So volume, pace, inflection. And no one needs to be a musician to be able to do this. You could all do this right now. I'm not going to make you, but you could all do this very immediately with your kids. So Ignite, and I sent the music list out. I saw the email go out. You have my suggested music list, but I use music from all over the world. So when I do this, the main reason I do this is to create a desire to read. Now, there are other things that they learn too, like subtext. And let me just mention the term developmentally appropriate. This is developmentally appropriate. And I also want to say that quite often, when we think of what is DAP, what is developmentally appropriate, we quite often put ourselves in a box without even meaning to. Like nowhere in the early childhood strategies, and I know a lot about those. I've helped co-write the ones here in the state. I understand the scaffolding process, and I have a great deal of respect for all my colleagues in creating those standards. It's not easy. All I'm saying is nowhere in any state or the world do you see for a 4-year-old, for example, teach them subtext, right? So like subtext, if I say the words, I love you, and I ask you, show me what I mean, you might go, oh, right, I love you. But if I say the same words, I love you, that doesn't mean the same thing. What about, I love you? That does not mean the same thing at all. How about love you? That doesn't mean the same thing either. Words alone do not create meaning. It is the inflection. It's how we say the words. How important is that? It's really important. With play, I teach that to children all the time, right? So this is a way, in addition to wanting to read and wanting to learn, this is a really cool way to go beyond what we're expected of in early childhood, which is great and very important. And as a bonus, as frosting on the cake, go, guess what? We can teach subtext to a 3-year-old in a play-based, developmentally appropriate manner. So now let me share with you, I think I remember what's next. Yep, let's go to the early childhood. Whoa, sorry. Let me go back one. So I'm not gonna read the whole thing to you. When I work with older students, because I know a lot of you have, you work with young kids, but you're in your own family, you might have older siblings, right? You might have older students you work with. What about them? Today's focus is early childhood, obviously, and I'll get back to that in a moment. But I want to show you what I use when I am working with a teenager who doesn't want to read, who's not into it, right? I want to show you how I light that person up again. In case you happen to be a parent with older kids too. I will take text that typically is really boring, like a recipe. So check this out. Preheat the oven to 400 degrees. Lightly grease 6 wells of a standard muffin pan, or line them with lightly greased muffin papers. So you get the idea. So I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but there's something really funny about saying muffin papers in a serious way. It just makes no sense, right? Or like the, you can take any school rules, any list, really boring list of stuff. Or, if you get a bill in the mail from an insurance company, take that bill out, put some music on, and laugh about it, right? And laugh about it. So I'll then ask older students. So now, what about 3, 4, and 5-year-olds and 6-year-olds and so forth? I'm going to use an example from. Let me skip this one here. You've already seen that and heard it. So before I show you some more examples related directly to early childhood, here are just some of the things that improve in addition to desire to learn, right? And the other things I mentioned, here are just some of the things for young children. Okay. And I think I remember what's next. Yeah. So to introduce the resource I'm going to read, I want to introduce my daughter to you just briefly. This is Sam. And this is when she was, I think, 21. Yeah, 21. She was 21, and we were at the Bentley's Coffee House, and we were starting to write Sam the Ant books. And here's what they look like. So when she was 4, she said, "Daddy, I'm tired of the books you're reading to me at night." I said, "Oh my gosh, what do you want to do?" She said, "I want to write our own stories." So we wrote a couple little stories, nothing fancy. We didn't publish anything. But when she was 21, we got serious. She's 26 today, and we have 5 books up. And the end of one book is the beginning of the next. They're in English and Spanish. Although I will mention this again to everyone, because I never know who's going to get excited about this potential. It hasn't happened yet, but I have had people from different Native American communities ask me if we can put the books in English and their native language. And my response is always yes. Just send me an official translation, and my foundation will pay for the rest of it. All we need is the translation. And I would love nothing more than to have this in the near future in English and your language. It'd be great. It'd be fun. And it would be, I think, very moving. Yeah. So Samdan has become this big deal. It's become a big deal. And more so outside the state of Arizona. That's how it kind of always happens. And that's cool. That's cool. And although a lot of people in the state know about it. So I'm going to use some excerpts from these books with music to share with you what I do when I work with young children. They sailed down the raging river. The storm became stronger, and more rain came down than either Sam or Sandy had ever seen. Don't worry, Sandy. We'll find a way to safety, said Sam. Navegaban por el río embravecido. La tormenta se puso más fuerte y más lluvia cayó que lo que Sam o Sandy habían visto en su vida. No se preocupe, Sandy. Vamos a encontrar una manera de llegar a la seguridad, dijo Sam. What should they do next? ¿Qué deben hacer ahora? As drag flew, the storm became even stronger, and they almost toppled over into the river, which now looked like an ocean. Mientras drag voló, la tormenta se hizo aún más fuerte y casi cayeron en el río, que ahora parecía un océano. As they flew higher in the sky above the storm, Drag exclaimed, "I'm a dragonfly! Welcome to my world, where you can see everything from up high in the sky." It becomes a movie-like experience, right? It becomes a movie-like experience. We live in a visual world today. Like it or not, videos, whether it's YouTube or something else, streaming, whether it's Netflix, whatever, we want to see it. And we want to see it and we want to feel it. And the way you feel it is with a soundtrack. I basically use music as a soundtrack for books. Does that mean do I always use music? A lot, I do. Probably 80% of the time. I do read without music sometimes. But let's see what happens when we attend to these three things, right? So perspective, adversity, and diversity. So with these books, what's that big green thing? It's a cactus. Why does it look so big? Because ants are small, children tell me. Children are brilliant. Why does the rain look so big? Because the ants are small, Enrique. I have these lovely conversations with children. It's great. Adversity. We want our children to be really good at dealing with adversity, right? And obviously, we want them to see diversity as a strength, including their own diversity. Think about my name, Enrique Cañas Feldman. I'm part Russian. I'm part Spanish. I'm half Mexican. I'm also part Yaqui, right? So, my name's diversity. We want our children to look in the mirror, both literally and figuratively, and go, wow, I'm incredible. I represent beautiful parts of the world in many ways. So the same 2 pages I just read, I'm going to read again, but I just changed the music. So remember, just as a reminder, and then I'm going to have some questions for you. We're going to pause. So remember this one, right? As drag flew, right? We're going to compare that now. We're going to compare that to this. Here we go. As drag flew, the storm became even stronger, and they almost toppled over into the river, which now looked like an ocean. Mientras Drag voló, la tormenta se hizo aún más fuerte y casi cayeron en el río que ahora parecía un océano. As they flew higher in the sky, above the storm, Drag exclaimed, "I'm a dragonfly. Welcome to my world, where you can see everything from up high in the sky." Mientras volaban alto en el cielo, por encima de la tormenta, Drag exclamó, soy una libélula. Bienvenido a mi mundo, donde se puede ver todo desde el cielo. So in the chat box right now, describe to me the difference in those two readings. And I already see that Mariana has put something here. I love how music enhances the book and experience. Yes. And yes, Elsa, to your message. Yeah, I've been trying to find some interest. I get some interest, but I think it's time to make it happen. So imagine, everyone, imagine if I had just read this in English in your language. What would that feel like? What would it feel like to see 3, 4, and 5-year-olds completely excited to do both languages? Mariana, yes, the second time around was so sad. Sad yet dignified? I'm not sure how to describe it, right? Like, check this out. I'm a dragonfly versus I'm a dragonfly. A lot of things can be taught with this. For example, as a man, I will say, I'm a dragonfly. And later on, I might ask the children, can Enrique, I'll speak in third person for me, can Enrique be strong and kind? Can I be big and compassionate? And they go, yeah. I said, yes. And to see other children say, I can be kind, especially little boys, for me anyway, just my experience as a man, when I see other little boys going, I can be kind, that warms my heart, because we need to teach young boys and young men that their strength is in their compassion. Their strength is in their kindness, right? So, yeah, so anyway, so what changed between those two readings? What changed? And what didn't change? What changed and what did not change? Think about it. The energy changed, yes. What did not change? It's really only one thing. The words did not change. That's the only thing that did not change. Everything else changed. Volume, inflection, pace. Volume, inflection, and pace. Stephanie says, first one was energetic and exciting. The second one is more passionate and full of wonder and discovery. Yeah, you know, and like Mariana was saying, it's sad, but at the same time full of wonder. Sad, but at the same time full of discovery. What I love about reading with music, oh, sorry. I meant to put a message to everybody. Volume, pace. Heroic, oh, good word, yeah. So what I love about using music like this is it's not just happy or sad. Now, first, if I say, how did it make you feel? Quite often I say happy, sad. I say happy or excited? Happy, excited, or exuberant? Okay, sad. They might say, were you sad or were you glum? Oh, a new word. Were you sad or were you distressed? Were you angry or were you livid? Building vocabulary, very important, all right? And so, and can I feel more than one emotion at the same time? Oh, yes, we can, right? So a lot of really cool things, right? Sam and Sandy can now see from where the storm had come. Sam y Sandy ahora podían ver de dónde había llegado la tormenta. What created the storm? Was it really a storm? So now they see the storm was a nana, watering a plant. But was it still a storm? Who was it a storm for? Interesting questions, right? Here's some excerpt from book 2. As they flew closer to the source of the light, they could see it more clearly. A monstrous glowing creature, which seemed to be hovering above the ground. But what kind of giant animal could glow in the dark? Mientras volaban más cerca la luz, podían ver la forma más clara. Un animal brillante que parecía estar flotando sobre el suelo. Pero, ¿qué clase de animal gigante podría brillar en la oscuridad? The trio kept flying, then suddenly the monstrous glowing creature exploded. They found themselves surrounded by thousands of tiny glow-in-the-dark. So I won't leave you hanging too long. We'll get to the finish there. The idea here I want to make sure you're aware of is I love to co-create, and I bet you do too. I love to co-create with learners, not tell them what to do. That's why so many questions, right? How did it make you feel? What's going to happen next? Whatever it is, right? Show me a brain game. What body part, right? Co-creating with them. Breathing. Oh my gosh, how'd your tree get cut down? What happened? Whatever the strategy, doesn't matter what the strategy is. What's really important is how we use it and how we integrate what I call the art of the question. The art of the question. Same 2 pages, ready? As they flew closer to the source of the light, they could see it more clearly. A monstrous glowing creature which seemed to be hovering above the ground. But what kind of giant animal could glow in the dark? The trio kept flying. Then suddenly, the monstrous glowing creature exploded. They found themselves surrounded by thousands of tiny glow-in-the-dark fireflies! Drag exclaimed with a wide smile. Wow, they're beautiful, Sam exclaimed. Drag nodded, but then yawned and started to drift off to the right before making a sharp downward dive. So one thing I think is clear is, but I want to make sure it is, I don't change the music up usually during the same reading of the book. Now you can, and I've done it. I'm doing this today just to give you a nice example of all different kinds of music, Irish music, classical music, drumming. I've used music from Japan. I've used Native American, traditional Native American music. I use music from all my different heritage. You know, I've used salsa, flamenco, you name it. I typically use music without words. Okay, if it's choral music, like that really beautiful one with a little sad but wonderful of wonder, that they're singing, but they're singing in Latin, right? And so, and the words in choral music are drawn out. It's called a melisma. It's drawn out, so you can't really understand it very clearly. That works. That works. But I don't use pop music because the words would then be overbearing. They would kind of distract. So, let me see. I'm going to time. Okay, great. So how to play now? We're going to switch gears now, all right? So we're getting close to wrapping it up. So you have a lot of strategies for me today, right? You've got brain games, you got the breathing games, you got the art of the question to a certain degree, and then you have the reading, surfing the words. Now mental fitness with children. So those of you who've been around with me for a little bit here, you know what I mean when I say mental fitness. So I don't have time to go into all the details of that today. What I want to do is show everyone here how to play mental fitness with children in play-based ways that are developmentally appropriate. So breathing, we did the 2-4, we did the tree in the wind, right? We tree in the wind, Spider-Man, how my tree got cut down, right? If you want to connect it specifically to mental fitness, here's what you do. There are a lot of ways to do it. Here's one way, right? So let's all pretend we're making the sound of that wind again. Remember the tree in the wind? Let's all do it. Ready? That's good. Now let's do it into the nose and out the nose. Here we go. And put a finger right beneath your nose, right? Like a mustache, right? So play-based, right? Right there. And let's feel what the air feels like on your finger. Again. And let's figure out what is the temperature of the air coming out of your nose hitting the finger. I wonder, is it cold air, warm air, hot air? Let's go. Or is it freezing air? Here we go. And they might say, oh, it was warm. It's usually warm. Okay, let's just do that. Let's make sure we really feel the warm air. Here we go. just the air. Don't think about anything else. Feel the warm air. Now, can you feel the air making your body get bigger and smaller? Let's do that. Just put your hands right here. Is it getting bigger sometimes? And now let's go here and out your mouth, just like tree in the wind. And let's see how long the air can go out. So with children, I use the temperature of the air in the finger, in and out to the nose. I use is our body expanding, focusing on that, and then how long can we go with that part of it. The point is, just like the adult versions of mental fitness, when they focus just on that one thing, they stop doing this thing called thinking, right? That may sound weird. What you mean, just like being without thinking? Yeah. The non-thinking part of the human brain, pay careful attention to this. The non-thinking part of our brain is where the magic lives. It's right here, it's right here. When we stop thinking, it's where our inner sage lives, or our inner genius. It's a quiet place. It's a centering place. It's a place of focus. And it is not connected to any particular religion, just to be very clear. I'm not talking about anything like that. I'm talking about something we all have the ability to do, which is slow down and become aware. In this case, becoming aware of our breathing. This is something that I have them do. And by the way, while I do say sometimes if someone gets hurt or someone's crying, I don't use this then. I might say, oh, take a deep breath, we're gonna be okay. Oh, hold my hand. Yeah, that's happened before, right? But I don't use mental fitness when I want them, when they are hurt and they're trying to self-soothe. I use mental fitness for mental fitness. I want them to be more mentally fit, which means I want them to be able to choose a positive mindset more often than a negative one. And it's interesting, children will pretty much mimic what they see at home, right? So you can see it, right? Some are very, very, very half glass full, and some are more glass half empty. That's okay, but we want to help them become even more positive. Finger patterns, another way. So breathing is one way. Finger patterns. So much like the adult one, I'll say, hey kids, can you put two fingers together? And can you feel all the little lines in your fingers? And how about this finger, the middle finger? And how about the fourth finger? And the pinky? Figure out which finger has the most lines. Or I might say, figure out which finger is the smoothest. Or I might say, which finger is the roughest? Oh, that one? Okay, let's do that one. Okay. Let's see how long we can do that. Basically, that's what that is, okay? And then listening. With listening, let's do it with children. I'll say, okay, this one's very similar to the old one. I'll go outside typically, or inside, either way. And I'll say, can you hear a quiet sound in the room? A sound that's so quiet, you can almost not hear it. And children will say, the air conditioning, or they might hear a sound coming from the kitchen, or if it's in their home, they might hear a sound coming from another part of the home, or they might hear a bird outside, right? I might say, what's the closest sound? So furthest away sound, closest sound. I might say, what's the highest sound? Like a bear, that would be a low sound. Tweet, tweet, a bird might be a high sound, right? And then I like saying, can you listen for all the different sounds, the layers of sounds? And I'll show layers, right? And then be the bird. That's a visualization. So I'll ask children, let's close our eyes. And if someone wants to keep their eyes open, that's fine. Let's close our eyes and pretend you're a bird flying up in the sky. Pretend you're up there. And pretend you're the bird. And when you look down, you can see your school, or you can see your home, or you can see a cactus, or you can see the mountains. And maybe you can fly up way above the clouds, up higher. And now you can see more. So it's the idea of just becoming something else, using the prefrontal cortex of the brain and the imaginative side of the brain, the right side of the brain. Those are the parts of the brain we want to grow. You might be asking, what about the left side of the brain? What about the left side of the brain? We use that all the time. We don't need any help building the left side of the brain, in my opinion. And the research is pretty clear. We're really good at checking boxes and making lists, right? We know, or hopefully know, how to balance a checkbook or how to add and subtract, right? But it's the other parts of the brain that we really want to engage. So that is a little bit of mental fitness. Oh my gosh, I have another strategy. I forgot how many strategies. I loaded you up today. My goal was that you would leave with lots of strategies you could use for, even if you never see me again, that you have a lot to do, right? So food literacy, what am I talking about? I'm talking about food sovereignty, among other things. That's another workshop though. I'm talking about helping children understand what is healthy and what is not. We're all talking about how to help children fall in love with feeling good. Because if we teach this to them, if we teach this to them early, they will make decisions on their own. I know this because I've seen it, not only with schools, but with my own 2 children. Both my kids used to be out of shape. They're both really fit now. And not once, check this out, you ready? Not once did I say to either one of them, you need to lose weight. I never once said that, because weight is not the issue. Body shape is not the issue. Internal health is the issue. When we get healthy at the DNA level, by default, we lose weight. But losing weight is not the goal. All I did for my kids, I did one thing. I modeled it. 14 years ago, I weighed 310 pounds. 14 years ago, this guy right here, I was over 300 pounds. Why? And I say this with no judgment. I'm talking about myself. I used to eat a lot of fast food, a lot of fried food every week. Not a treat. It was the way I ate. It was normal for me. And I thought as I was getting a little older, that it was just normal to hurt. I'm 50, I'm about to turn 55. I don't hurt much. And when I do, I know what to do about it, right? So here's what I do with young children. So with my kids, all I do is model it. I just modeled little by little. I got off soda. I didn't change everything at once. Maybe you have that kind of willpower. I did not. It was one step at a time. But with young children, play. So I'll be with a group of children and I'll say, what's your favorite fruit? And they might say apple. Let's say banana. Since I put banana, sometimes they say banana. I'll say, how do you feel? I said, first, so check it out. First, I say, pretend you have a banana in your hand. And let's peel the banana. 1, 2, 3, 4. Why am I doing that? Why am I teaching math? Why am I visual? Why not? Why not? Why not do that? What color is the banana? Yellow. Let's peel the banana. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's take a bite of that banana. Ready, set, go. How do you feel when you first eat a banana? And I nudge a little bit here, all right? I don't want to tell them what to think, but I do want to nudge them because they may not know yet. They may not have ever been asked, how do you feel when you eat something? Because in today's society, unfortunately, we don't really think about it. Our society in general is mindless when it eats, not mindful. And I say that because I used to be mindless. I only thought about one thing. What do I want it to taste like? But I never used to ask myself, what do I want to feel like? So I asked children, what do you feel like when you first eat a banana? And honestly, I do this with my body. I'm kind of moving around, dancing a little bit. Oh, you too? Oh, yeah, bananas make us feel good. They do. Oh, yeah. And so who here knows a banana dance, right? Now, if I say that to a bunch of adult attorneys at a conference, they might look at me like, Did you just say banana dance? Okay, next. But with young children, I can say that, and so can you, right? And I've done it, and I hope you have. It's hilarious. And some you immediately go, oh, I know banana dance. Great. I don't care what it looks like, right? We do a quick banana dance, and then I'll say, how do you feel later after you've eaten the banana? And I think about it, and I go, I feel pretty good. I feel pretty. It might be a little slower, but I feel pretty good, right? And I might do broccoli, right? Oh, what color is broccoli? It's green. Let's wash it. Okay, and now let's take a bite of it. Oh, it's crunchy. And how do you feel when you eat? I know how I feel. I feel full of energy. I didn't used to know that because I wasn't even paying attention. I don't tell them that. I'm just telling you. So we do a broccoli dance. A broccoli dance, let it be, whatever it is, right? We can do a broccoli dance. How do you feel later on? I feel good. I feel good, right? You can do a little James Brown. I feel good. You can do that. And then I'll say cookies. Oh, who likes cookies? I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to lie to you and say, oh, I don't like cookies. No, I love cookies. Who does not like a soft baked gooey cookie? Particularly peanut butter. That's my favorite. All right. Let's smell that cookie, buddy. Here we go. Can you take a bite of your cookie? And I asked the kids, how do you feel right after you've eaten the cookie? Not later, right after. And they're like, woo, exactly. Or soda. How do you feel after you drink a soda? We're hyper, right? Because it's a different level of sugar. And how do you feel later on after you've eaten that cookie? Now, some don't know, so I nudge and I'll do this with my body. Oh, I think I need a nap. I'm kind of tired. Oh, so some foods make us feel slow in our body and slow in our brain. And some foods make us feel really good. Boy, I don't know about you, I share with children, I like to feel good. You know, and then I still say, I like cookies. I like cookies too. But should Enrique eat a bunch of cookies every day? And they usually say, no, no, no. I say, why not? And they tell me why, right? So I should eat more broccoli? Okay. So little by little, we embed the idea of being mindful of what we eat. So it's very simple. This is not rocket science, but it's really profound. Because what will happen to our communities if the next generations, what will happen if the next set of generations not only know what's healthy, but stop buying certain things at grocery stores? What will the grocery stores do? This has already happened. So in case you think this is just theory, it's not. What grocery stores do is they pay attention to one thing: market demand. Grocery stores are businesses and they want to stay in business. So if a community, like in Tucson, Bashes, if they stop, if people stop buying certain things, they stop putting them there, right? So if Cheetos stop getting bought, they don't put Cheetos in anymore. If coconut oil, which is really healthy and very affordable for cooking, if people start buying it more, all of a sudden today, there's so much coconut oil everywhere and it's cheap. Years ago, 10 years ago, it was expensive and it was only one or two brands. So look at these words talking about being the change that we want to see for our future. And I'm gonna stop sharing the screen because now that was the end of all my slides. But I want you to think about what you're going to use from today on a regular basis. And what I'd like you to do as soon as I stop sharing my screen, I'd like you to come on camera. And if you want to unmute, you can. If you want to share what you're going to commit to, or if you prefer, in the chat box is fine. But I want everyone to commit to at least one thing, if not more. I want you to commit either in the chat room or verbally. I'm excited. I can't wait to hear about it. Of all the strategies today, what are 1, 2, or 3? Let's just say that 1, 2, or 3 that you are going to commit to using in the very near future or next time you were children.
I want to commit to making healthier eating choices and also taking more time to breathe and slow down and relax.
Awesome. That's exciting to hear. Great job. Great job. Thank you for sharing that. Those are two biggies. Anyone else? And again, if you don't want to speak out loud, that's okay. You can put in the chat box, but either type something or unmute and share with us verbally.
Hello. I'll share. Probably trying to use music with books. I read to my son every night, and music might be fun for his books.
Oh yeah, I think you're gonna have a great time. I can't wait to hear how that goes. I mean, I have my hunch as to how it's gonna go, but yeah, it's great. You know, when they're going to sleepy time, obviously you want to use music that's a little more relaxed, or you're gonna get them all pumped up, and then you will have that. You'll then complain to me, Enrique, it woke him up. All right, so now earlier in the day, you could try doing some bigger dramatic stuff earlier in the day, but at night you can do it too. And then let's see, thank you, Mariana. And then Cristina, breathing techniques throughout the day. Awesome, right? And make books more interesting with music and voice change. Yes. Oh, and someone said, being more active with my children. Thank you, Heather. Ruby agreeing with the book idea and music. Love it. Keep it coming. I want to see more. I know there's more than 7 or 8 of you out there. There's like 42 of you, right? So I'm not asking you to commit to all of it. Now you might say, I commit to all of it. Great, good for you. I'm asking at least 1 or 2 or 3 things. So keep it coming. And if you have any questions, this is also a Q&A time, as usual. Oh, the hands activities. Oh, do you mean the mental fitness? Whoever wrote hands activities, do you remember? And then I like the cross line, the breathing. Yes, breathing techniques one throughout the day. Yes, okay, okay. So the mental fitness stuff. Yeah. The hands activities, the breathing techniques. Yeah, mental fitness, huge, huge. I use that stuff all the time in my own personal life. Karina, I will start using breathing more often. I will start asking questions throughout the day to challenge the brain. I would actually challenge everyone, no matter what you shared already. I would challenge everyone to ask better questions all the time of yourself, of your own kids, of the children you work with. Yeah. And Agnes, some of the crossover, yeah, the brain games with parents so they can try with their children. Yes. And Tiny, breathing and start asking questions. Yeah. Questions are where it's at. Mariana, I would love to have you come back to our centers again to work. Yes. Oh, that day is coming. I think I'm going to cry when that day comes. Not completely out of control, but kind of teary-eyed a little bit. Just thinking about it makes me a little teary-eyed. Yes. Hey, translations. Hit me up. Get to us up. Find someone in your community who can do that, and we'll make it happen. Yes. The session from. Yeah. I'm going to be doing that today. Actually, you got it, Ruby. So yeah, I have to get that link too. I've not gotten the link from last week to it yet, but I'll make it happen. Dolly, breathing techniques and eating healthier. Yay for eating healthier. And by the way, not 100%. I had a little fig cookies last night, but it was in moderation. Yeah.
We have 8 teachers who are actually good at speaking the O'odham language. They're fluent. So maybe we could bring them on. And
that'd be great. Do you have the books, Esa? I forget. I think you do, right?
I think I do. I'm not sure, but I would love to get another copy. I think Steph has my copy. I'm not sure. Okay,
let me know which ones you don't have.
Okay.
And then book 1, for sure. Book 1 and book 2, I think would be. We could do all 5. There's just more text, but we could start with book 1 and 2. That'd be great. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I can't wait to come out I'm putting the horse before the cart. I mean, we have to talk about details and stuff. We have a lot of planning still to do for the year coming. But I am being hired, knock on wood, that things continue to get better in this country. Fingers crossed, but I'm supposed to be in Alabama this July. at an early childhood conference live. And then I know I'm in Nebraska next March for the state early childhood conference, one in Florida next April. Yeah, Bernie, yeah. The books are so much fun. You know what I would love to do? I'll just put it out there. I'm a dreamer, and I like to, and I'm pretty good at manifesting my dreams too now. So I would love to see the books in both languages, and I would love to see the books in the hands of every single family in your community, especially families with young children, to have that language and culture thing going. That'd be really exciting to me. If you want you can go online, but they're pricier online. You can read about them there. I'll give you in the chat room.
I could probably purchase them, not now, but in the month of maybe July or August.
Okay, great.
With the new year. So yeah, I could probably do that and purchase probably 1 and 2.
Yeah. So you asked that question. Yeah, so Clarissa and anyone else. So I put the website there just so you can read about them and explore the site, but don't buy them there because they're like $13.99 per book. So we sell them individually at $10. But as Elsa just mentioned, this happens a lot. Is organizations will then buy the book for the teachers and staff and whatever. And so let's see how many we can get out there, and really exciting. So yeah, thank you, Elsa. We have about 1 minute left. Are there any other questions? Today has been so much fun. And we still have 41 people still online. That is fantastic. Because sometimes with, the upside with Zoom is we can be anywhere and we can join a meeting. And the downside is we can leave that meeting. we can just kind of not be there. Right? So it's really great to have you all in for so long for the entire 2-hour session. I know that our next session is not till June, I believe, right, Essa? I think I have it right here. Yeah, next week we have off. And I'll have to find it. I don't have it. I thought I had it in front of me. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Introduction. I think our next one is the 14th.
Double check that.
Yeah, we'll double check it. But we have time.
June 14th, yes. And June 21st. Those are the 2 ones we're having.
Yeah.
Okay.
14th, 21st. And then we'll chat some more and get things going for the new year, new school year. And but everyone, you've been fantastic. Again, I'm just so happy that we have the chance to connect and we're doing it live again in the future someday. Anything else, Elsa?
No, thank you. Thank you so much. This was a great training. There's a lot of things that parents and teachers are going to take away and are able to use them right away at home. So thank you. And I can't wait for next session, how to create a resilient mind. I think we're going back to that topic, right?
I think so. I'll double check. It's either that or self-care and compassion fatigue.
Okay. Yeah, that was it. Okay. All right. Thank you so much again. And we'll see you soon. And again, if anybody needs anything, send me an email or send me a text. Thank you. And we adjourn this meeting. Thank you, Enrique.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a great week.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Elsa, are you still there?
I'm still here.
Okay, so can you send me that link to my email at work
Yes, I can.
for last session?
Oh, for the last session. Yes, I will.
I tried to email you also and there was no response. So, and then I wasn't sure about your phone number either. So, and I think
Okay.
you still have mine. So hopefully you'll call.
I'll get back to you as soon as I leave here.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Thank you, Ruby.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you, Enrique.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.